Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here, so welcome back to Misty Hills here in Farmers Only Club. It's spring, summer, whatever we want to call it, but it is time to put cotton in the ground. So as you can see, it's a little bit clippy in how the frame rate is, or how the images are. I do have the processing going on in the background from my video rendering. So you can see Meister's, done a pretty good job clearing a hunk of space back there, that's for sure. Alright, so there goes the planting. It's definitely a little bit messed up. Yeah, I ran over some of the crop, I think with the harvester at the end, so I've got a little bit of weeds there because basically I didn't have things down. So the difference I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to go ahead and just get this row done, and then I'm immediately going to start the weeder behind me, because that way I can be done as close to real time as possible. The weeder is not as wide as this, so as long as I don't get hung up on something, which is not a guarantee. Again, I try to squeeze this in amongst other things that I need to do, as far as what I'm able to do with almost any of the things I'm doing. But especially Farming Simulator, I tend to, if I know I've got a day that's going to be a bit interesting, I try to find that disrupted time where once I'm going, I can start doing that. Alright, I just want to make sure it's not dropping fertilizer. It's not. And so we'll come over here and we will grab our weeder. Because the other thing that we did talk about potentially at the end of last year when we were selling bales in February was the possibility of putting in the spinnery, which pretty sure is what I'll do. I have not had any time to go ahead and do anything else with exploring the spinnery or anything like that. So I just want to get moving along, but I just can't imagine that putting in this is, I think I'm wasting a ton of space, so I want to get enough that I get that piece, but I also don't want to create something that I don't need to, and that should work there. So now you can see they're going, and in the meantime then I can, and I really should have shut that off because again I'm running the risk of the planter not being low enough. But yeah, I'm not going to stay on here very long and record because I don't know how entertaining it's going to be to watch with the non-smoothness of things. I mean, it's not terrible, but it certainly could be better. But, you'll see as we pass each other here that, the weeder's got basically, I think it's 3 meters. So in theory, that's like 10 feet between the two things here. 9 feet, but it looks worse than that. But basically, I don't think, I'm trying to remember, the weeder might actually be faster than the planter. No, this is 18 kilometers. I think the weeder only goes at 11. It's interesting that it didn't take those out, but maybe because they technically really didn't plant right. I don't understand what happened over there, but for whatever reason, the weeder did not do what I would expect it to do. Alright, so I want to turn it off. But yeah, it's a lot more obvious now, the lower frame rate, when I'm doing something like that where we're rotating. Come on. But yeah, I've got a real tight window here. I have about an hour and a half I don't know if that's going to be enough time to get both fields done. But to try my best to do that, that is why I'm like, you know what, I am going to start that weeder as soon as possible. See, and in theory, it should be now twice as far over. It just does not look like it is. It looks like it's the same, which is weird, but I guess it is a little bit further over there. But yeah, we had the Easter holiday here. We had a few other things going on that kept me out of gaming for a little while, so everything's a bit backed up. That's partially why I'm doing video rendering in the background, because I've had a few days on the channel with no content going up. So overall, just things not really flowing the way I normally like them to flow. But my intent is, as I said, very similar. Well, it's totally similar to what I'm doing. The only thing I'll do at some point is figure out where I'm going to plop the spinnery. And so I will be back when it's time for that. Hoping it'll be today. It may not be, but we'll see. And so I will see you in a little bit. Alright, so we're just about done here. In the interim, we've gone ahead and we've gotten ourselves our spinnery. So I am set now to take cotton and turn it into things. At least I hope I am. We're going to find out, I suppose. And the reason I say that is... there we go. Okay, so fabric, cotton. So cotton, so yeah, wool is like a 2 for 1, but we actually get more fabric, so instead of it being 800, so it's a little better with cotton, so I like that. So yeah, initially I just saw the wool and I'm like, well, wait a minute, but I hadn't scrolled down far enough. Just about done. A few more minutes, and then hopefully we will be done with the weeding there, which would be excellent. But that is all we need done right now for this month. And then we'll just continue forward. We'll get the cotton harvested. Well, we'll fertilize tomorrow. We'll get the cotton harvested, and then we'll start seeing what happens. Because basically, if you remember, April, May, so right around this time, it's June now. So we're going to be able to harvest here. So we're going to harvest, and then it's going to make things. We'll see if it gets done by April or May. Because that becomes the other problem that potentially occurs, is that we can't keep up with things. But this is actually a good experiment, because if at this point, like with what I am producing now, I exceed the capacity of a spinnery or get really close, maybe I don't want to expand the farm. Maybe this is kind of the right size for it, and we just go with that. But we will see how everything works out in the future, but in the interim, that's what we've got for today. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, I am back here in November. I am able to harvest cotton till December. I honestly didn't know that until I got in here. So that at least calmed me down a little bit, because I was like, oh my goodness, I think I missed my harvest period, but I had not. So I've gotten everything harvested here in November, and I just need to now go ahead and get things moved over to the spinnery. So I should be able to drive through the field here without damaging anything. Not that it entirely matters, everything's harvested, but obviously we have that little bit there that I would ultimately like to get resolved. But let me go pick up some of these bales and then get them over to the spinnery. Have 2 bales here, so we're going to take this over to the spinnery, and we're going to see kind of what this looks like as far as quantity, because this is going to be 20,000 liters, and if I understand things correctly, it should then allow me to put this in and then eventually be able to sell stuff. Sorry, having difficulty here figuring out the best way to get this in. Alright, so we're dumping that out, and hopefully these then get consumed. If they don't, there we go. Alright, I was a little worried because it took a really long time, but let's take a look here. Alright, that's right, 40,000. Alright, so we can get a good amount in here, but now I need fabric cotton. I need to activate it, and then we will see what it will do from a production standpoint. So I'm going to pick up, you know, basically try to get this thing, maybe try to get this thing full. I'm not quite sure what's going to make sense, because it's looking like maybe it'll take 400,000 or 500,000, which would be, I think, more than I have available here, which would be fine, because then that means I can grow the operation and the spinnery will be able to process that, again, assuming that this process is in some reasonable amount of time. So let me get more of these things picked up, and I'll be back in a bit. Finished up. But man, was this difficult. I have spent an hour in here. And basically the trigger for this is like super small, is the problem. So basically 220,000 liters is what got moved over there. You know, we'll see what starts coming out overall. Now what I'm hoping is that with the auto load, or the semi-auto load trailer I have, that things will be a little bit easier. I think I'm going to have to get one more, you know, one piece of equipment to move things around, but it's going to be interesting, that is for sure. But we're not going to be making any money anytime soon. I'm basically going to be planting the cotton again before we get any more sales. But I just wanted to make you aware of where things sit. And at this point, realistically then, what that means is this year's basically finished, because there isn't going to be a sale of anything in January or February. So I'm going to wrap this year up here. But I cannot say I'm a fan of this this whole thing right now, because basically I had to manhandle the bales with the tractor. You can see tracks all over, like I had to push it this way. At one point I thought, oh, if I just line them up like right against the building. I basically got a bale stuck here that was just a nightmare to get out, but eventually got it to move enough. The trigger point appears to be somewhere here, because basically, I don't know exactly where, but from this direction is where my last push was. There's so many tracks in so many directions that you just can't tell. So, I don't know. But I think it was just kind of outside the symbol, and that's where things went. But it is a bit of a challenge, so I can't say I'm loving what is working out here right now, because what I was expecting is now that I would just pick up males, I'd easily drop them, they'd be consumed into the spinnery, and then I'd be getting things out. And yes, you know, I figured, oh, I'm going to have to, you know, do something to fork things toward the trailer, but then the trailer should basically grab them from the forks and auto stack them. And so if you remember on Lomeric's farm from early episodes when I was helping him, that's kind of what I'm envisioning, where I have a trailer parked, and then I'm just going ahead and loading it nearby and not really having to move much. But that all remains to be seen, I guess. So I'm going to save any of that, even if I do it in the next month or two. I'm going to throw it into next year's episode, because ultimately the final result will be that. All that we'd have would be maybe buying a, whether it's a telehandler or whatever, and then operating that over here. So it would just be putting things onto the trailer, but it wouldn't be selling, because the hot sale points were kind of in April. So that's when I'm already into next year. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. If you've enjoyed this, haven't dropped it a like, or you're not a subscriber, please consider doing those things, and I will see you next time.